Welcome to the deep dive. Thanks for bringing in these excerpts from Speak Like a Native Speaker, Real Life English. Looks like a really practical guide for anyone wanting to, sound less like they're reading from a script.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking through it, the main goal is pretty clear. It's all about teaching that practical, natural English people actually use, for just everyday conversations.
Right.
It seems aimed at learners who've got the basics down, maybe A2 to B2 level, but want to sound, well, more comfortable, more themselves.
Bridging that gap between classroom English and, real world chat.
Exactly. It hits on the phrases people use, pronunciation, even the right mindset, and crucially, how to practice effectively.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward then. Let's unpack what this source actually means by real English and pull out the really useful bits for you, the listener. If you've ever felt your English is, technically okay, but kind of stiff, or maybe you struggle when native speakers talk fast.
Yeah, this should be really helpful.
Let's jump in.
Okay, so first off, what is this real English according to the material? It makes a really interesting distinction. It's not always about perfect grammar, that's for sure. It's more about flow and connection.
Right, and it gives some great comparisons, like you might learn, hello, how are you today? Which is fine, perfectly polite.
But yeah, in reality, you're way more likely to hear someone say, hey, how's it going? Or even just, how's it going?
Much quicker, more casual.
Definitely. And then there's the classic example. I do not know.
Big guns.
I don't know. Just like that. That little change says so much about speed and naturalness.
Exactly. And that kind of gets to the core of it, right? This real English is what you hear daily. It's often fast.
Very casual. And it's packed with things like contractions, which, let's face it, we use constantly without thinking.
All the time. And idioms, too, right? Those phrases where the meaning isn't obvious, like kick the bucket or bite the bullet.
Yep, idioms, and also loads of phrasal verbs. Things like look something up or hang out or figure it out. They're everywhere.
It's that whole mix that makes speech sound, well, real.
And the source makes a strong case for why you'd want to use this kind of English. It says it's more fun, more colorful, even powerful. Using it helps you understand native speakers better, obviously, because you start recognizing the patterns.
And it boosts your confidence, right? Because you feel like you're actually part of the flow, not just translating sentence by sentence in your head.
Absolutely. That confidence piece is huge. So the material doesn't just talk about it. It gives concrete examples, these real phrases.
Oh, yes. The list of key phrases, like little cheat codes for sounding natural.
Kind of, yeah. Think of them as high-frequency expressions. You hear them all the time. You use them. You instantly sound more connected.
Okay, let's run through a few. So instead of the standard, how are you, all the time?
You've got what's up. Super common, very casual.
And if someone apologizes for something minor, or you just want to say, it's fine.
No worries. You hear that everywhere, especially in Australian or British English, but Americans use it a lot too now.
Good one. What about saying no thank you politely? If someone offers you something you don't need.
You can just say, I'm good, or I'm all set. Same idea.
And specifically in a shop, if the assistant asks if you need help.
I'm just looking, thanks. Perfect. Signals you're browsing, maybe not ready to buy yet. Very natural.
Okay. How about agreeing with a suggestion?
Sounds good. Simple, positive.
Or showing enthusiasm, that's great.
You could say, that's awesome. Adds a bit more punch.
And if you genuinely don't know the answer to something, instead of a formal, I do not know.
It's just, I'm not sure. That feels much more common in conversation than, I don't know sometimes, or just dunno.
Right. And needing to leave, I have to go becomes...
I gotta go. That gotta is classic informal connected speech.
And strongly agreeing, saying definitely or sure thing.
You bet. Very American maybe, but widely understood. Versatile.
Okay. Last one from their list. Asking someone to keep you updated.
Let me know. Another perfect example of words squishing together. Let me know becomes let me know.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into the whole idea of connected speech, which the source really highlights. That's why we say let me know or gotta go.
Exactly. It's fundamental. Native speakers, we just naturally link words together. Sounds change. Sometimes sounds disappear entirely. It's not about being lazy. It's efficient.
Makes the conversation flow better. The material gives some really clear examples of this, like I am going to eat transforms into
I'm gonna eat. Or even just, I'm uneat. That going it to gonna is probably one of the first ones people notice.
Or how about, did you see it?
Yeah.
That often gets smoothed out, right?
Yeah, to something like, do you see it? Or even jeet, depending on how fast someone's talking. That did you blend is super common.
And a really frequent one, what are you doing?
Becomes what you're doing, or sometimes even shorter, like what you do. Learning to recognize that and maybe even use it makes a huge difference.
So this is what the source calls connected speech. Understanding it helps you listen better, but also speak more fluently.
Right, and it offers a really practical tip for practicing this. Watch stuff on Netflix or YouTube, put the English subtitles on,
Right.
then pause after a short phrase and try to mimic it exactly. Copy the sounds, the rhythm. It's called shadowing.
Shadowing, like building muscle memory for your mouth.
Pretty much, yeah. It trains you to hear and produce those connected sounds.
I like that. Very actionable. And speaking of action, the source also shows how this real English works in specific everyday situations.
Yeah, it doesn't just list phrases, it puts them in context. Common scenarios like being in a shop or a cafe or just on the phone.
Right. So imagine you walk into a shop. The clerk might say something casual like,
Hey there, need a hand? Pretty standard friendly opening.
and you, now armed with your real English phrase book, could say,
Nah, I'm just looking, thanks.
hmm.
Short, friendly, uses the casual nah for no in that phrase we talked about. Perfect.
Okay, scenario 2. Cafe. The barista leans over the counter.
I'd say, hey, what can I get ya? Again, that getcha for get you, classic connected speech.
And your response? Probably pretty simple, right?
Likely just jump straight in, can I get a large iced coffee or whatever. Direct uses can I get, which is very common for ordering. No need for super formal sentences.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, say, a casual phone call.
Might start with something like, hey, just checking in, you free later? Notice the in ending on checking, very common. And the direct question.
So, across these examples, the vibe is friendly, casual.
Definitely. Short sentences are common, lots of contractions, just keeping it light and efficient. It's about making that connection quickly and easily.
Which actually leads really nicely into maybe the most crucial part of this whole approach, the mindset.
Yes, this is so important. The material really hammers this home.
Yeah.
You have got to stop worrying about making mistakes. Stop trying to be perfect.
It's liberating, actually. It points out that native speakers, we make grammar mistakes all the time.
All the time. We use gonna, wanna, sometimes things like ain't. We start sentence one way, then switch tracks halfway through. It's just how natural speech works.
So the goal isn't grammatical perfection.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The goal is communication, getting your message across, understanding others, making that connection. That's way more important than having every single verb tense perfect.
I love the analogy it uses. Speaking English is like dancing.
Yeah. Isn't that great? You don't stop mid-dance to analyze the physics of your spin or the precise angle of your elbow.
No, you'd fall over.
Exactly. Just feel the music, feel the rhythm, and move. Speaking should be more like that. Less overthinking, more doing. Just speak.
Just move, just speak. I like that.
And to help learners adopt this mindset, it suggests some affirmations, little things to tell yourself.
Like what?
Things like, fluency is more important than grammar. Just
Mhm.
reminding yourself of the real priority or
Yep.
acknowledging the process. I'm learning every day. It takes the pressure off getting it right now.
And owning it. I speak real English.
Exactly. Reinforcing that the way you're learning to speak is authentic and effective, even if it's not textbook perfect.
So you've got the concepts, the phrases, the right mindset. How do you actually practice this stuff consistently? The source gives a daily routine, right?
It does, yeah. It calls the native speaker workout. And the best part, it says you only need about 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes? That sounds manageable. What's involved?
Okay, so step 1, 5 minutes just listening. Find real conversations. Podcasts are great for this. YouTube, interviews, scenes from movies. Just immerse yourself.
Observe the sounds.
Okay, step 2, another 5 minutes doing that shadowing thing we talked about.
Yeah.
Repeat phrases out loud right after you hear them. Mimic the rhythm, the connected speech.
Active practice. Got it.
Step 3, just 2 minutes, record yourself. Maybe read a short dialogue or try using some new phrases. Then listen back. It helps you hear things you might miss otherwise.
A bit of self-correction. Okay.
And finally, step 4, 5 minutes to actively use maybe 3 new things you learn. Could be writing them in sentences or ideally trying to slip them into a real conversation if you can.
Listen. Shadow, record, use. 15 minutes total.
Yep.
It's structured but quick. Makes it feel like something you can actually stick with day after day.
Totally. It focuses on doing, not just studying.
Exactly. Moving from passive knowledge to active skill, building that confidence gradually.
Okay, great. So let's just quickly pull together the main takeaways from this source material.
Sure. So number 1, Real English is defined as basically the casual, fast, contraction-filled way native speakers actually talk. It's different from formal textbook English.
Right. Number two, learning key everyday phrases like, what's up? No worries. Sounds good is a shortcut to sounding more natural and connecting faster.
hmm Number three, and this is huge, mindset matters. Focus on communication and confidence, not perfect grammar. It's okay to make mistakes, native speakers do too.
Embrace the dance.
Embrace the dance.
Sharp.
And finally, number four, consistent daily practice is key, and it is possible even with just a short, focused routine like that 15-minute workout. This has been really insightful. Diving into this Speak Like a Native Speaker material really clarifies that sounding more natural isn't about memorizing endless grammar rules. It's more about understanding the flow, the rhythm, the common shortcuts of the language, and importantly, shifting your own attitude towards speaking.
Absolutely. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over, drawing from everything we've discussed. Given this emphasis on communication over perfection, the idea that connection is the goal, and even native speakers aren't perfect, what does really embracing this idea of real English mean for your own language journey? How might focusing on connection, rather than just correctness, actually change how you approach learning and ultimately how confident you feel when you speak?
Hmm. That's a powerful question to consider. How does letting go of perfection change things? Well, thank you for bringing this material in and walking us through it.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Keep listening, keep practicing that real English, and keep making those connections.